Kensil Culture, Puppets, Props, Puns, Podcasts.
We love you, yeah, yeah, yeah. We love you.
I do.
Hey.
I don't love that guy right there. Over there.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to talk about the Fab Four. We're about to talk about those boys from Liverpool. We're here about the silver. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles, and we are the BEATLEMANIACs.
Yes, we are. You know, one of the most irritating, annoying things in the world is...
You.
This is preposterous. What next? No, is that people go, I hate the Beatles, right? Now, do you hate them because they're overplayed, or why would you hate them? Now, I'm not one of those guys going, dude, you gotta love the Beatles, right? No,
yeah. If you're too, we're like maybe we're like not maniacs. Maybe we're like the Beatle idiots because I go crazy over a couple of their songs, and some of them I don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, but we respect them.
Oh, yeah, that's a good word of saying. And right behind us on the wall here is John, Paul, George, and Foreman. And we know all about the Beatles. But it's just an incredible band, like just stuff they did. And also, too, when they always say so-and-so is the fifth Beatle, no. George Martin, their producer, he polished all their songs into commercial, viable, catchy, well-orchestrated, layered songs.
He was a seasoned veteran, and, it takes the people behind the glass, as they say, in the recording industry, to really make a record. And that was, they were very innovative and very, and very inspirational, too. They started the long hair. You wouldn't have long hair like you do, that scruffy looking, or that... You wouldn't have that mop if it wasn't for the mop heads.
I know some quirky facts about this band.
Oh, you know what my favorite one is?
What is it?
Look, Let It Be. Okay, right there. Oh no, right. Look, okay. Look, here comes the sun.
Where'd you get that at?
I hope I didn't burn you. All right, I want to hold your. Oh, well, I'm sorry, wrong prop. Okay, or we have the famous Penny Lane. Okay.
Oh my God, he went that far with that.
Look at this. Here's the Fab Four right there. Okay, I'll deal with that later.
Okay. Well, my little quirky little fact I know about the Beatles.
I would love to know a little Beatle trivia right here.
Okay, in the Beatles film. A Hard Day's Night. Their first film.
Okay, no. Hard Day's Night, yes.
With your boy, was about 8 years old, was in the film?
Ray, the drummer for...
Genesis.
Yeah, Genesis.
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins was actually in the crowd scene, and you can see him. I mean, it's kind of cute.
Child actor. He's the one, you can see him running through. He's at they're running through a theater, and he's there buying meat pies and blood pudding and wearing a banana hammock.
Yeah, he collects things from the Alamo. He has a very large collection from Phil Collins. After he did Studio, it was all downhill from there.
Oh, that's the last thing my dad said on his deathbed. But he said, "Come closer."
So, did you ever see any of the Beatles?
Well, wait. Let me go back. This story is very lurid and very even with the Cesar Romero story.
Okay.
And the Beatles film A Hard Day's Night, where they run around. That's all great, catchy songs. They're all in people's minds. They think that's where they were in real life. Four lads running around and jumping through ponds and running around and wearing meat pies for hats.
Yeah. Well, in Great Britain,
right? Well, in the film, they were traveling with Paul's grandfather. It wasn't really him.
Oh, yeah, it was that character actor. You see him in a lot of old British movies.
He had like a long face and short hair, big jaw, and round glasses, and he's like, oh, what are the boys doing now? Give me some meat pies and blood pudding, all right? Sheep's brain stuffed with liver and chocolate, whatever is British eat, all right? Well, I read about that actor.
Uh-huh.
All right. The famous TV series in the United States was called Sanford and Son.
Okay.
It's based on a British show called Steptoe and Son. He was Steptoe. He was on the British sitcom.
Oh, he was the Fred Sanford
He was the Fred Sanford part.
Red Fox must be.
But
okay.
Here's where the story gets lurid.
Uh-oh.
All right. In 1962, that actor, and I'm not reading from notes either. It's up here next to the Spank Bank. That actor in 1962 was arrested for cottaging another male in a men's room. And cottaging, like a cottage, which isn't a word you don't say all the time. Cottaging, how would you say cottage with a ing at the end? Cottaging. Anyway, here he got caught doing what George Michael got caught doing to a man in the Beverly Hills men's room. He got caught checking banana hammocks.
How about George? How about his? What is his name? Who got caught in the men's room?
George Michael.
George Michael. Don't let the sun go down on me. Okay. And I mean, you can't write jokes like
Yes.
that. Well, I love George Michael. I think he has great songs.
Very polished. Well, this guy was arrested in 1962 for that. And back then in the UK, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Here, I don't know.
They could still flog you.
Yeah. Yes. But you're hereby charged with the count of being with two Bennigan's waiters.
That'll make your red coat.
Right?
Your coat red. Sorry.
It's okay. He's wearing a doily. But it was pee time. But anyway, so he got arrested for it, and I guess he paid a fine. I don't think he did jail time, but he was on. They made British do TV series differently too. He was on that show for like 10 years, and they brought another version back in the 70s. But that's my little dirty tale about.
I like in when John Lennon is talking to the grandfather when he goes, "Oh, I like Coke," and he puts the Coke bottle up his nose like this.
Tries to snort it.
So there were a couple, besides Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, if that doesn't mean STP, I don't know what.
My big beef. All right, you ever watch an interview with Paul McCartney? He's very flighty and fanciful and whimsical, and you would ask him, how did you come up with the idea for She Loves You? He's like, well, he sat down at the table and and meat pies and it comes in there. It's a real fantasy flightsy thing he says. Well, here's a story that I don't believe. Even though he says it and it's in books and stuff, I don't believe it.
Wait a minute. I think I know where you're going, John.
Yes. One of the most recorded songs of all time is Yesterday by the Beatles, right? Frank Sinatra loved it. I know he loves something too, but it's a song's by one of the most recorded songs of all time. Yesterday, oh, my troubles seem so far away. Now I'm here to stay. La, 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 la. All right. Paul McCartney said, the original version of that song was called Scrambled Eggs. I couldn't think of a word for it. When I was writing the words out, I just put scrambled eggs in there. No way. I don't believe that, right? No, because everything rhymes on the word day. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks over here to stay. And I believe. All right. There's no way Scrambled Eggs was the opening pivot point of that song. He may have had the melody, but I don't believe that. Oh, it's called Scrambled Eggs. I think he just said that to act whimsical to a reporter. This song was called The Magical Unicorn.
You mean a hard-boiled reporter? Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
shell-shocked.
I'm just trying to keep your sunny side up.
It's over.
No, I don't find that too hard as something neat, because a lot of times they use dummy lyrics, okay, in songs, and that doesn't sound like too far. Well, yesterday I ordered scrambled eggs, and
Now,
I'm just breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, no, Wid, this gentleman right here,
Okay.
Paul McCartney, Wid has seen him live in concert.
Well, I've seen 3 Beatles in my tenure, and I snuck into each one of them.
Now, three. How'd you sneak into Paul McCartney? You dress up as
I just saw Paul McCartney. He was at the Lincoln Field here where the Phillies play, and I was able to sneak in through a fence, okay? I felt invigorated because I had, always dreamed of seeing Paul McCartney. And I jumped over the fence and squeezed through a couple things, and I ended up seeing Paul McCartney, and I had to spend the entire time in the food area because all the seats were taken. And when I went over to talk to one of my friends, 4 people came up to me, who were the volunteers or whoever works there, and they say, "No, you can't be here," and they were like very stern with me. They didn't know I snuck in. I said, "Oh, I'm up there in the nosebleed section."
In the food area, do they have like British delicacies to eat?
No, they had no blood pudding or whatever. They had no fish and chips. Okay, no. It was quite exciting though, because you got to see him and hear him, and people went crazy for him. It was strange to see him being so old, because we're so used to seeing him from Ed Sullivan to maybe to maybe Live and Let Die. Well, I mean, that was his prime thing.
He could play for 3 hours and all the songs, his own hit.
Beatle
hits.
Yeah.
One of my good friends went to that concert, and he paid $400 a ticket on the grass of the stadium, but he bought.
I was on grass there too.
He was on the grass too. Well, he paid for his 2 daughters. The daughters like 8 and 7, who have no idea who the Beatles are, right? So my friend had a spot. He picked a position on the field. He was very happy about it. He's a short, red-haired Irish guy, not real short, but not as tall as I am, and he can't have his daughter see Paul McCartney. Okay, oh, so great. A male bodybuilder comes in with his 2 daughters and stands in front of him the whole entire concert. He's as big as a barn with his 2 daughters on his shoulders, and my friend said I couldn't say anything. He blocked the whole view and ruined the whole concert. I couldn't see around the guy. The guy was gigantic, like Lou Ferrigno in front of him with 2 ventriloquist dummies on his shoulders, as been known to happen. But that was neat, though. Now, you said 3 Beatles. Whit said 3 Beatles. He's seen 3 Beatles. How about Ringo?
Ringo I saw down in Atlantic City. I just, I think it was, they had tickets that they were, you had to give in and stuff like that. And I had like a fake ticket that I showed the guy like I was coming back from the bathroom or something that.
This is an Arby's coupon.
Yeah. And I saw him, I forget who else, Joe Walsh or somebody else was with him when he does his all-star band. But Ringo was a hairdresser, and he was the most social out of the Beatles. I didn't get to talk to him. It was good enough to see. They were so protected in their places. You could see a lot of bodyguards in both places, and so
there's a real neat famous picture. Because they like to party, these guys. These guys all been through rehab and stuff. John Bonham, the drummer for Led Zeppelin.
I love that his son plays drums now, too.
Well, John Bonham and Ringo were partying. And he shaved Ringo's eyebrows off. And it's a famous picture of him standing with Ringo. And Ringo's that's Ringo right there. Right there.
Johnny Ringo, yes.
And they called him Ringo because of his he like rings on his fingers. But it's a famous picture. He has no eyebrows. It's a very strange looking picture. Now, have you? All right. So there's Paul McCartney, Ringo. How about John? You never saw John Lennon?
Never saw John Lennon. I was, I saw the Dakota, and I saw Yoko someplace. I saw Yoko, just passing by real quick at some.
A little side note.
In Las Vegas, I think I saw her when they were having the opening of the Love.
Yeah. Oh, the play, yeah, the musical of all the Beatles. It actually is a neat CD. It's a orchestra. Anyway, Yoko, I think she's probably pushing 90. I think she was older than John by a lot, but.
She was a conceptual artist, okay, who would do avant-garde things and
Interesting thing. This show is taped in Philadelphia. There was a famous weekday talk show called Mike Douglas.
Yes.
And John Lennon co-hosted it several times. He came down from Dakota, New York, for like a week at a time.
Because they had good coke here.
Probably. That's what I've actually heard that. Well, there's a famous video. Look up online. They asked John Lennon, who do you want to perform with? And he goes, Chuck Berry, who we talked about in another show.
Wait.
Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry's.
And
Sorry.
so they got Chuck Berry to come down.
Johnny Be Good.
And John Lennon was on cloud nine. He was singing in this is the early 70s before he retired with Chuck Berry on the Mike Douglas show. And Chuck Berry, he's all 70s, grooved out. And
he's been playing for years, since the late,
Yeah, and he could play the song backwards and forwards. And him and John Lennon are playing Memphis, Tennessee. Long distance information, give me Memphis, Tennessee. And I get my Marie. Maria's only 6 years old, right? Playing it. Well, John had to have Yoko involved in the song. That's exactly what she did on the show. And Chuck Berry's like playing guitar. Like, what the hell is that? Wrecking my famous song.
The most tormented face that you've ever seen on a performer. I mean, worse than Joe Cocker. Okay? I mean, his face when Chuck Berry saw and heard Yoko, mostly heard Yoko, he kind of said, what the
F was that? Yeah, holy crap. But all right, so there's two bills. How about George Harrison?
George Harrison was the most interesting, and I actually got to touch him. They played George Harrison. We all know. Oh, yeah. Look. By George. George Harrison was the most interesting because I was in Tucson, Arizona, and when they had their Dark Horse tour, I'm a dark horse on a he played at a community center. Okay, this is like, you can read about it in the books. Okay, this is like one of the smallest venues that they've ever played. Okay, it was like, it looked like a place you would play basketball in. Okay, it was like, it wasn't exactly a barn. It was Tucson, Arizona, so it was it was outside, and it was. But it was definitely like a community center. That's actually what it was, a community center.
How'd you get in?
Well, I found an open door. Okay, the first I found an open door because I was very astute at cramming my fingers in and pulling a door open. So I got to see him. Billy Preston was on piano. Billy Preston, child prodigy.
Something from nothing leaves nothing. You want to have some?
He was the African-American guy on the B3 piano who put in a lot of...
He's the fifth Beatle, right?
He was the fifth Beatle,
who actually performed. Yeah.
Besides Murray the K. And Murray the K from New York was called the fifth Beatle.
Do not look up.
I had snuck in.
Yes.
Okay, and I let a couple other people in. I kept that door, going and inviting other people in. So... There's maybe 500 people there, 600 people. This was like one of the first ones on the tour, so it was very small. He did it as a favor, and I wanted to see the second show, so I went into the men's room, and I hid inside of a giant garbage can that they had inside the menu.
Was there prom babies and stuff in there?
Gosh.
Sorry.
Don't say that garbage. No, there was a trash can inside the men's room, right? And I had I got down into it and pulled the lid over my head, and as I was in there, I heard the guards come in between shows and open up all the toilets and see if anybody was hiding in them, and they're looking. All right, nobody's in here, So I hear that, so I pop my head up, and I think I smoked a cigarette or something in there, and so I get back down again because they're starting to let people in. So about 5 minutes later, I pop out of the thing, and I scare the hell out of all these people that are in the bathroom, and they figure out what I was doing, and they started applauding me, going, that's beautiful. I've never seen anything like that.
No one thought, oh, look, someone threw a hippie away from Cranford, New Jersey.
Oh, I was a hippie then. Yeah, I was.
Oh, very cool.
I was all sorts of. But, so in the concert, it's the second one, they're doing the same exact thing. So, you get kind of bored, even if it's the freaking Beatle. So I started moseying my way. I'm going to see how close I can get to the front of the stage. I love to do that. If I'm halfway bored, how close can I get? And so I got pretty close. I got over to the side and everything. So the concert ends, and where I'm standing, that is close, it's not right up front. It's sort of to the side. That's the way they're exiting. So as George Harrison goes by, I give him one of these.
Cool.
I give him one of these and say, great show. And he looked back at me, and he didn't have a scowl on his face. He was just like, he was agreeing with it like anybody else would do. But that's my
very cool.
That's my 3 Beatles stories.
We'd touched a Beatle.
I touched a Beatle, yes, I did, and not in an impure way either. I was all over the back, but
Most
get back. Okay.
when you meet Beatle people, you shoot him like this on top of his head, like.
Did you ever see Beatle impersonators or something?
Oh my God, yes. So my friend, the milkman I talk about, he loves seeing different Beatle bands.
Okay.
And there's like Beatlemania, and there's other ones, but there's one
Rain.
There's one called 1964, a tribute, and they're really good. They're really, really good. But they've been doing it for 25 years, and like Paul McCartney is thick looking, right? But they stand and they do the Beatles in the gray uniform, the gray suits.
Oh, the fake Beatle was kind of thick. I'm just thinking when was.
Oh no, the fake Beatle was thick. Yeah, right. He was and he was doing and he looked like Paul McCartney if he had a thyroid disease.
Yeah,
like,
if you go like this, but
right and but no, it's worth I've been told by people that they thought I look like Paul McCartney, like this,
you look like Paul Bearer. Okay, that's it.
No, also I get is Mr. Mayhem from those commercials, for the car insurance or whatever the hell that's for. But the Paul McCartney's really interesting. Just like such a long life. But the Beatle band were really good. But there is some crappy ones. And yeah. I saw a very funny documentary on cover bands, tribute bands they want to be called. And there's one about a Monkees tribute band, right? And the guy who played Mike Nesmith was the leader, and he had like guys, and he's telling about the trials and tribulations. But this story has a point. He was really mad because his Davy Jones from the Monkees quit his band to run off with Beatlemania. He was all upset.
Isn't there the tribute bands? They found the lead singer when from not Def Leppard.
From Judas Priest.
From Judas Priest.
No.
No, it was Judas Priest.
Yeah, it was Judas Priest. Yeah, right.
They found a guy who was in a Judas Priest cover band. I love Judas Priest. They found a guy who was in the Judas, and they made him the lead singer for a little while. Yeah. When the lead singer, retired or quit or something.
Well, they made a movie out of it too with Mark Wahlberg. I think it's called
Rockstar.
Rockstar, yeah. And it's I'm almost sure. Is it Judas Priest? Yeah, it's Judas Priest. I think it is. Or Iron Maiden. It's Iron Maiden. Okay. Because Judas Priest has Living After Midnight. It's Iron Maiden.
How about those Iron Maiden covers? Oh, my God. They were always the most demonic.
Oh, and oh, my God. It's very interesting, too, is you hear, it's, the Beatles are just, I don't want those guys who praise something too much, because when you praise anything, a movie or a book, and people are like, eh. Oh, you guys see this miniseries, or what do you call it, a Netflix documentary? Eh. But it's neat. Oh, the Beatles song called If I Fell in Love with You. Right? If I fell in love with you, would you promise to be true and help me understand? It's a nice song. When John Lennon wrote that, it was his first serious song about love. Okay. His other songs were about girls and if I help me understand. And he said that song helped him write one of the most beloved Beatles songs in my life. Okay. There are places I remember. Really good.
Paul is dead. Yes. Paul is dead.
I did go to a festival, like a weekend, like a Philadelphia Folk Festival, and they had Pete Best and the Quarrymen. Pete Best, he was in the Beatles.
He was a good-looking kid who was in the Beatles. Everybody, he was the first one to have the pompadour. He was, he was, and the ladies liked him, and yet he was not the drummer that Ringo was. Oh, and because they always wanted Ringo. Ringo was playing in some other band, and they always wanted Ringo because Ringo kept that steady rock and roll beat.
Other guys, some guys were technicians, some guys were but he was just they felt he didn't fit with the band, so they canned him. And he bopped around for a while over there in England, and he became worked for the postal. Was a mailman. And, which isn't bad. He had a nice, steady life for years, of course. And there was no jealousy there, so he says. Then about 25 years ago, in the early 90s, the Beatles had a thing called Anthology, where they got all these...
it was great. It was great.
It's really neat. They got alternate takes of Beatles songs. Very neat. Well, he's on a bunch of them. And he got a check for several $1 million from the sales of that record.
Wow.
And so he's very
Good.
well off for what he did.
I'm glad they gave him some... they did. My favorite on that whole anthology is Besame Mucho. Okay,
what's that?
Besame Mucho is an old time song. Besame Mucho, I love you much, or something.
Oh.
Besame. But it was a standard, and that's the song that they auditioned with when they went to Decca Records. And,
and then they got turned down.
Oh yeah, when they got turned down. But we're going to turn this down and turn this around. We are the Beatlemaniacs, or the Beatle mentally challenged, and we want you guys to just keep on swinging, and I want to hold your hand when you push that subscribe button.
On YouTube.
Peace out.